a big question to come with straight out the gate for my first public live of 2025. Happy New Year to you all. I've been giving myself a proper rest, a spike detox, resting the proverbial ENT, ear, nose, and definitely the throat. So just resting, no talking, no lives, etc. The question for this one: do you ever feel that you've been cursed? Now, because it's not a subject that I talk about a lot, and definitely not publicly, I've been playing around with the images. You can see some of the images here on screen that I've been sort of playing with, but we're going to kind of break this down in a bit more detail, and I'll kind of give you a sense of the thinking behind it and why I'm addressing this particular issue. So let us begin. Let us begin. It's a question that I was first asked. Now, it's probably around 2002, so 23 good years ago or thereabouts, but let's just call it at least 2 decades ago. And someone said they felt as though they had been cursed, like someone had put a bit of, cursed juju, whatever you want to call it, on them. And been reading about my work with clearing limiting beliefs, negative emotions, could I help them? And I said to them, I'm really sorry to hear that. I said, it's not the sort of thing I specialize in because it's not my belief set. And therefore, I'm probably not the best person to help you. So I said no to that. I've had various things come up over the years where I'd said no. And then I had an instance a few weeks ago, which really caused me to take another look at that whole thing, reevaluate it, and actually look at it in more detail. So I ended up doing a session with someone, which was absolutely fascinating. I'm not going to go into that in detail now because that's what we're talking about on the live webinar, but it was absolutely stunning. And one of the things that really prompted me to go, I'm really going to look at this, because I've had several clients over the last year or so, and they've gone to correct themselves, and almost kind of, we're doing it on Zoom and sometimes telephone, but metaphorically they almost put their hand over their mouth before they say it, and they say, do you know what, Marilyn, I feel like I've been cursed. And that's a really strong statement and a very definite thing to say. But people were saying, I just can't shake that sort of feeling. Now, it does come up in my work sometimes, because when I'm clearing stuff, I will do past life regression. We're working with the timeline, ancestors, genealogy, all of that sort of stuff, remnants, when we do the Huna, the Ho'oponopono, bringing in the ancestors, cutting the old Arca connections. So yes, that does come up, and that's cleared part and parcel of that. But as a standalone, in terms of entity removal, attachment removal, dark energy removal, that's not my specialist subject. So tomorrow, if you're watching this in real time, there is a free live webinar. So as I said, I've been playing with the images. So this is one of the images that I chose, the ultimate energy cleanse to remove attachments and other phenomenon, because I was like, I don't want to scare the pants off people straight away. So we just went with the word something like a phenomenon. But it's that whole thing where you want to free up your energy field. It's as though you've been bound in some way. So some of the ways it comes up in conversation, no matter what you do, your plans don't work out. Everything's going smoothly, everything's on track, and then suddenly it falls apart. There's some sabotage. It goes to someone else. And one of the things that people often say, someone who is not qualified for the role, for the job, for the position, whatever it is. And it's almost, despite your best efforts, your hard work, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the planning, the creativity, the time, the money, the resource that goes into something, where on paper, and even in terms of how it's received by the public, it should be absolutely amazing and it should fly, and it just goes nowhere, as though there's an invisible block or barrier. And in this case, what we're talking about, the outside force. So that was kind of one of the images. Another of them, when I was kind of playing with, okay, this one here, have you ever had a sense or feeling that something or even someone is attached to your energy field in some way, shape or form, almost like the proverbial monkey on your back? And the someone is significant here, because we'll talk about it in the webinar tomorrow. about, there are often, when you delve into this, there are people who have done something from afar that is then affecting your energy field. So we're going to delve into that one. So this was another to sort of depict and bring that idea to life. There was this one here in terms of, you almost have like little fragments of things attached to you. So in access consciousness, for example, and there is a whole section in access consciousness about entity removal, attachment removal. I've got all the scripts for that. I've used them occasionally when it's been necessary, but again, it's not what I'm leading with. But this, if you could kind of see almost what it looks like, this was a good depiction for me, where you've got these fragments and psychic hooks in your energy field that you can't see them. If you're sensitive to energy, you might sort of feel them, you sense that something is going on. But for me, that's a depiction of what you look back. So it's almost that what they look like. So it's almost as though being held back by unseen forces. So this is taking place live tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. UK time, 1:30 p.m. USA Eastern time, completely free of charge. For those of you who are on my e-newsletter list, I thought it might be a nice new year opener if you have been in the position where you feel that something has been holding you back, sabotaging your plans, putting a block on things, messing things up, getting in the way, even turning people against you, all that sort of stuff. And it will be a very interesting conversation with Kate, who's the entity and attachment removal specialist. That is what she does. And I'll also share a bit about my experience of kind of my encounter with her and some of the things that came up. This one, I think, is that for me is a really good way to bring the whole thing to life, breaking the unseen chains, because that's almost what it feels like. You know, if you've ever seen that social media meme where there's a donkey tied to a white plastic garden chair with this gnarly little bit of rope, where if the donkey took a couple of steps or just kind of kicked its hoof, it would break and it will be free to roam and go wherever it wants. But there's this almost now psychological barrier that was probably put in physically first of all. So the donkey just goes in that little tiny catchment area and doesn't go any further because of the boundaries, the chains, the restrictions placed on it by someone else. And that's sort of what we're talking about here. And oftentimes the conversations I'm having, because we're doing executive coaching sessions, are in the professional context where people feel as though their career has been sabotaged, where after decades of work, I've been talking to people with 20, 30, even 40 years of experience in their field. They are amazing. Yet it's that Paula Abdul effect, as I call it, one step forwards and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 steps back. And it's almost like inexplicable because it's like, done all the right things, ticked all the boxes, did this, did that, did the other. And it's almost like there is no logical, no scientific explanation for what they're experiencing. But yet here they are. They can go so far, but no further. That reminded me of an episode of Columbo, the one where they mark the bottle. Anyway, I digress. But it's that sort of thing. So this is about breaking those unseen chains and freeing you up physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, so you can kind of go forth and, move forwards. And then one of the other images was this one here, in terms of that pattern where despite your best efforts, the hard work, the expertise, the skills, your plans, as I was just saying, just falls through, doesn't go anywhere. It's a non-starter. And even those involved are sometimes going, I don't understand it. Oh, it doesn't make any sense. But it's that whole pattern where there is something potentially going on. So if you are up for having an unusual conversation to kick off this new year, then make sure you join us. If you're on my e-newsletter list, just check your email inbox. I've sent, in every email I've sent in the last 3 or 4, the link where you can go directly to the webinar platform and register is there, so get yourself registered. If you're not yet on my e-newsletter list, you can either go to my main website, which is going along the ticker tape, transformationstm.com. So that's TRANCE, F for Freddie, so FORMATIONS, TM.com. So transformationstm.com. One of the first things you'll see top left is where you can sign up for the e-newsletter list, or you can go to the bit.ly.com/ENL sign up. So e-newsletter sign up, either of those two. You click the button and name, email address, and I'll send the email. One sec. I'll send the email out a bit later on today. I'm just going to put it together. And again, for those of you who have newly signed up, you'll receive an email in a couple of hours' time with the link where you can join us live tomorrow. And yeah, we're gonna discuss this very unusual but seemingly very common phenomenon. I'm thinking of LL Cool J now, something like a phenomenon, but it's very this very seemingly common phenomenon. And yeah, all I can say, it was an absolutely fascinating conversation and session with Kate. Blew my mind in terms of the things that she said, because I immediately knew the situations and scenarios that she was talking about, because they affected me psychologically at the time. And I was like, oh my God. And I've never met Kate before in my life when I was having this conversation, yet she was very, very specific in the instances that she brought up as being the pivotal point. So we're going to get into all of that tomorrow, the webinar, find out who she is, how this thing works, how does this even come about. But it was absolutely mind-blowing. So you really want to make sure you are there for this one. So get yourself signed up, get yourself registered. I said it's free, 6:30 tomorrow UK time, 1:30 p.m. USA Eastern time. The webinar itself will run, I'm going to guess, about an hour, and then we're going to have a block of time for Q&A. So again, yeah, it's going to be amazing. So I just wanted to sort of try and put into words a bit what's coming up. But as I said, it's a brand new topic, never been there before. I don't actually think that Kate has done any webinars in this format, so it's going to be new for her too. And yeah, let's kick 2025 off in fine style, remove those unseen blocks and barriers. Let's go. Because I don't know about you, but I most definitely, I've got high hopes for 2025. And I want to, after the 5 years of absolute carnage that's been going on in the world, and that's not a metaphor, you have seen the images for yourself as well. I'm like, no, it's time now. Let's do this thing. Been messing about for far too long. Let's do it. And I might actually, I haven't done it for a few years now, but what I used to do is a tarot reading that I do put on YouTube at the start of the year, and I do a reading for the year ahead. I think it was probably about 2018 that I did the last one, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to go and check my old YouTube channel. So yeah, I might interesting. So yeah, I might do one of those as well, so look out for that. But yeah, join us tomorrow if you are free. As I said, it's already sitting in your e-newsletter inbox, and I'll send a final reminder out later on today, again with the link. Get yourself signed up, come and join us. This is going to be pretty special. Marilyn Devonish, the NeuroSuccess coach and rapid transformation specialist from transformationstm.com. Over and out.